Hello and welcome to this episode of Health in You. I am Sumi Sukanya Datta. Well, winters in Delhi and most parts of India are not really very pleasant anymore, largely due to pollution. This, coupled with low temperature outside, necessitates the need to watch what we eat. The topic of discussion this week, therefore, is diet in winters. We are joined by two eminent nutrition experts to discuss this, Ishi Khosla and Divya Malik. Ms. Khosla is clinical nutritionist, author, and researcher based in Delhi, and Ms. Malik is associated with Apollo Spectra in Delhi. Welcome, Ms. Khosla and Ms. Malik, for joining us in the discussion today. We
Thank
start
you.
by asking you, Ms. Khosla, how are our dietary and nutrition related requirements different in winters compared to other seasons?
Well, the thing is that winters can be very challenging on our systems because of the immune reactions that come with the stress of the cold. And therefore, one sees people getting all kinds of upper respiratory infections and other fevers, etc. So, one just needs to ensure that the diet that we have is suitable for combating these kind of challenging situations. So the immune system needs to be worked on, and high immunity boosting foods in the diet are certainly a very important aspect of winter eating. Apart from that, you also tend to because of the thermic effect of foods, etc. You need more warming foods, so the body requires more energy to combat the extra cold. So there is increased hunger, and everybody reports an increase in hunger. So watching your weight and your calories, etc., is also important, because you don't want to gather extra pounds while you want to keep yourself warm and well nourished. So that is number two. And apart from that, the cold itself, we require certain foods which help you to increase the thermic effect of our bodies, the BMR. There are lots of spices and heating foods in our diets which we can increase, and we should be increasing, and remove the foods which actually can trigger a cold reaction. Now, that is something which is more of an Ayurvedic concept, a traditional practice, which is part of the traditional forms of eating and medicine, but it's not in our so-called scientific literature. But we know it exists, and I think it's important to address it and incorporate it. So
Yeah.
I would leave it at that.
Yeah. So you touched a very important point of how we feel hungrier during winters because of the biology. Miss Malik, would you like to share, when we, for example, feel hungrier, we tend to go towards fats, mostly carbs. Are there some healthier alternatives? Ms. Khosla has already named a few, but if you could also add to what are the healthier alternatives that we can add to probably our diet, especially in the winter season.
Like ma'am has said that of course, if I'm talking about winters, your body temperature is as compared low, and you need more calories to maintain the outside temperature and inside temperature, right? So at that point of time, if we are introducing things which can help you during the season, of course we generally advise to go for unsaturated fat rather than going for saturated fats. So if you want to have nuts, let's say, you want to have flax seeds, let's say, right? If you are having good amount of like vegetables and fruits are good. I mean, if you are talking about colorful fruits and vegetables, you have good amount of colorful fruits and vegetables coming in this winter season, right? So one should go for more of colorful vegetables, colorful fruits, of course, because you have a lot of flu problem, a lot of problems. As in this particular, if I'm talking about season, is known as seasonal affective disorder, right? So if you're having colorful fruits, if you're having colorful vegetables, definitely you feel better, right? So of course there are many alternatives. If I'm talking about rather than going for sugars, we can switch to jaggery, we can switch to khan. Rather than going for saturated fatty acids, we should have more of chia seed, flax seeds can be taken. Good amount of omega 3 can be taken, because most of the time You have to be during winters only, make sure the chances of getting heart attack is more. So one should focus more on omega 3 so that heart health is also good.
Yeah. So, talking when we talk about winter nowadays, especially in North India, we can't really not discuss pollution, which has become a reality we have to live with. Now we know that pollution doesn't only affect our respiratory health, but also every part of the body. So, is there any scientifically available evidence to suggest that there are some food items which can actually lower the effect of pollution, which may be there on our bodies and on our immunity systems?
Yes, particularly like just this was just mentioned that taking brightly colored vegetables and fruits give you antioxidants and phytonutrients, which are very important to detoxify the body and neutralize the damage caused by the pollutants. Likewise, in jaggery, there are certain specific antioxidants which help to neutralize these poisons, and these are also part of our traditional knowledge that whenever there is sort of pollution or a lot of contamination in the air, be it in whether it's outside air for normal people or for people who are working in factories or mines where the load of pollutants and extra particulate matter is high, uh, jaggery is known to be given as a practice to these workers. So it has both the scientific and the traditional advantage of being validated. And it doesn't hurt to take a few 1 inch piece of jaggery after you're just before you're leaving the house or after you're coming back, or keeping it with you. And certainly it's also going to help you keep a little bit warm. And the other thing that needs to be highlighted here is that in winters we should increase our intake of good fats, which also help in building up a healthy microbiome and protect you from the pollutants and the ill effects, and also build up your immunity,
Yeah.
because your immunity lies in the gut. And these good fats include butter and ghee, which are traditionally again part of our foods, and they can be taken in extra quantities in during this season. So yeah, I think increasing fat, that will also keep you warm and keep the extra carbohydrate calories out, because like I said, you have a risk of becoming a little bit more gathering a few extra pounds. So having good fats will prevent that from happening. And the other thing, lastly, would be taking things like amla and greens. Things like green sags. There are lots of green leafy vegetables available for a reason. I think the nature has its own ways of providing what is needed. So we have things like all kinds of sags, which can be consumed on a daily basis. It can become a practice. Taking an amla or two every day in the form of juice or in any other form. Taking some chavan prash every day, which is again a very traditional food part of our culture. But we've forgotten it. So high quality chavan prash, genuine chavan prash, gives you many many immunity boosting ingredients and can be added to any individual's daily diet.
So
So,
one important point that we often tend to forget, in summers there is a lot of focus on consuming a lot of water as well as other fluids. That is one point that we tend to somehow ignore during the winter. So, Miss Malik, would you like to talk a little about, why we need to also concentrate on adding fluids and water specifically in our diet during winters?
See, it is very important to be hydrated, right? In summers, of course, we feel there is a lot of imbalance in the electrolytes. So we feel that, we are thirsty, we should consume. But in winters, generally, what happens, we don't feel like having anything, any liquid. So if you are not having enough water, you can go for soups, right? You can go for green teas. If you're not having good amount of water, that can be replaced by soup, that can be taken by green teas. Or if you're having, let's say, kind of like ma'am is saying, like in ancient time we used to say take such things like ginger tea, or I would say there was a lot of things, lemon tea. So you can have such things instead of water if you're not able to drink enough water. But yes, of course, water is also very important. So it's good if you're having water along with these things like soups, like all kind of teas. And the most important, along with that, generally in winters you don't have vitamin D, which is the major source. Sunlight is a major source, right? You don't have vitamin D during winters. So of course, vitamin D is very good for the bone health. So we should consume things which are rich in vitamin D, right? So if sunlight is there, we should go out, we should take some time out, and we should expose ourselves to sunlight. But if we don't get, we should be not ignoring the fact that vitamin D is very important for the bone health, and we should be taking that in mind along with liquids.
So so measures should be taken to introduce maybe supplements in consultation with your dietitian or your
Yeah,
doctor,
you can do
and
that. You can do
introduce
that.
foods which give you plant-based vitamin D, right? Or animal-based vitamin D. So that's a very important point. Yeah, yeah, please.
No, no. So there you have to understand that food-based vitamin D is very limited. We don't really
Yes,
have combinations.
correct.
So we do need to either supplement and
Supplemented.
combination. Yeah, that is very, very, very critical.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Another thing,
And it's not only good for your bone health, it's also good for your entire system to bring down inflammation. And like you said, for the pollution. So in polluted areas, we find vitamin D levels very, very
Yes,
low. In inflammatory conditions, we find vitamin D very low. So it
correct.
is important to take not only just about normal levels, but to build up optimum levels and the higher end of normals. So that's important.
The vitamin D is basically important for the absorption of calcium also. So of course, it makes a lot of difference.
yeah. Another thing that people would benefit from knowing is that there are a lot of myths and beliefs also that we see in our normal dietary pattern, but specifically in winters, because I have seen a lot of people, for instance, avoiding curd or things like banana, for instance. Some certain foods they won't, because they think that it just adds to the immunity problems. Is there some sort of evidence, scientific evidence, which supports these kind of theories, or they're just that theories? Miss Hosna, would
No.
you?
See,
Yeah.
the question in to be asked is who you are. In science, we tend to take everybody as equal and same. It's not the same. We all know practically you, me, three of us will have different requirements, different gut microbiota, and different genetics. So we are unique. So one size fit all will not happen. So I may be able to tolerate curd, maybe you don't, and maybe she can take a small amount, and so it can vary from person to person. The thing to be understood is that curd is a good food, but if my digestive system is leaky or if I have an imbalanced gut microbiome, it can be counterproductive. So that good can become bad. So it
Okay.
depends on who you are. So no blanket statements here. Curd is good food and it should be taken by anybody who does not have. But if you have health issues, if you have respiratory issues, if you have asthma, if you have aches and pains, it's
Yes.
completely out for you. So I think that is enough science and it's very clear. And we know as in clinical practice that certain people get flare ups with even small amounts of curd in their aches and pains or in their phlegm and in their cataract. But some people mostly they're fine. So it depends on what your
It
requirements
varies
are.
person to person, is what you're saying.
Yes.
And we have
And banana is also in the same vein that if you have a good gut, everything is fine. But if you don't, and if you have overgrowth of some yeasts and some fungi, maybe banana can aggravate phlegm.
Right.
So it's like who you are. So banana is a good food, clearly, but you have to figure out what is good for you, and therefore personalized nutrition is the answer.
okay. I would now request both of you to share quick tips for our viewers who can really benefit from this advice and better their dietary patterns in the winters. Miss Costa, would you like to start?
Uh, well, I don't know what to say, but maybe I can just give you two kinds of sort of my acronyms are. One is the like a checklist on a daily basis of foods that you must have. So this is an easy reckoner. So one carrot, one cucumber, or one tomato or a beetroot. So three different colors every day that should be taken in some form or the other. Whether you chop it, you slice it, or you juice it. Try and
Mm-hmm.
have one carrot, one cucumber, one tomato slash beetroot, one amla or some lemon at least every day. Can be combined with some honey, even better.
Okay.
Then one seasonal green leafy vegetable or saag every day. Very simple to do.
Mm-hmm.
And one seasonal fruit every day. It doesn't have to be a exotic fruit. It can be anything that you like. At least one, depending on again who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And lastly, one handful of nuts and seeds or chanas every day.
Yeah.
So one handful, it's very simple. You can put it in any form as a snack, or you powder it, or put it in your flour, or put it in a smoothie, or whatever it is. So that's a simple checklist. And how to eat is in the form of a blessing, BLESS, which is eat better quality food, avoid the junk and the processed food, and be mindful of the grains and choices you make of the kind of grains that you have. So eat better quality, eat less in general. Most people tend to think that they'll get more energy if they eat more. So eat less, eat early so that you digest it well, and eat slowly and eat smart.
Yeah.
So I think it's at that.
Very actionable things that you underlined. Thank you so
Yes.
much for that. Miss Malik, would you also like to share your tips with our viewers?
I think she has covered most of them, but I would definitely suggest, see, this season, particularly this season, please try to have either jaggery or khand. I'm not saying that you should be, eating it 15, 20 grams, but in a day, if you're having just a small amount of it with dry fruits, definitely, like we have those peanuts chickies in the market, or you even can be prepared at home with dry fruits. So you should have whatever seasonal things are coming, but make sure that it should be in portions so that you're not, gaining more of weight, right?
Yeah.
And of course, uh, like ma'am has said, uh, definitely colorful fruits, colorful vegetables. She has already added that. So this is what I wanted to say.
Yeah, very important and useful advice for our viewers. With that, we wrap up this discussion. Thank you so much both of you for joining us in the chat today. And
Thank you for having us, Sumi.
Thank you for having us. Thank you so much.